Hi, Happy New Year! My name is Aneta and welcome to my channel. Today's video is going to be a little bit different from what I usually do. I'm not planning on painting or drawing, but instead I would like to review this pile of books. If you're interested in seeing a specific art book, I put the time codes down in the description. Small disclaimer though, I don't want this video to be a flip through only. I might include something more personal every now and then, and I hope you won't mind. But before I jump to the actual review, I just want to say thank you to everyone who decided to support me over the past year and over the last 4 months of my inactivity as well. By the end of last year, I had a very intense time life-wise. I moved to a new house, and at the moment I am trying to figure out a space where I can actually sit and dedicate myself to create some traditional art. Luckily, things are starting to get more organized around me. So hopefully this year I'll be able to create more content for you guys. I'm not planning anything in terms of having a schedule. I really would like to post twice a month. That would be like the ideal scenario, and maybe I will be able to achieve that by creating shorter videos. Anyway, I don't want to make any New Year's resolutions. Those can be really punishing at times. So with that being said, I hope you will enjoy the rest of the video. The first 2 mini art books that I'm going to share are by Audra Auclair, and this is Fragments Volume 1 and Fragments Volume 2. The first volume is still available on her official shop. This is the second edition reprint. It's really great quality. I remember it was years ago, but there were some issues with the first print of her book. The second one, I'm not really sure if it's still available, but if you get them both, you'll have like over 200 pages of content. Just bear in mind, in this video, I will omit some pages for 2 reasons. First one is out of respect towards the artist. I think they put a lot of work into their craft, so it would be nice to support them by buying these books, if possible, of course. The second is that YouTube is kind of weird about artistic nudity, so if there will be something more explicit, I will unfortunately cut it out. I'm saying unfortunately because some of them are also great. Now, I've been following Audra for a while now, and the thing that inspires me the most is that she has a very good sketchbook discipline. And from what I gathered, she isn't draconic about it. She probably doesn't sketch every day, but when she does, it feels almost effortless. And I know it isn't probably always like that, but in her sketchbooks you'll find everything. Characters, concept for her new paintings, studies of people, studies of nature, all sorts of studies. Like, she's not afraid to just sit and draw. Another thing is that she is so open about her feelings and mental struggles. It takes courage to say what exactly you felt while making a piece, and I think it's worth exercising that from the very beginning of your creative path. It doesn't need to be complicated, but having a context helps to understand what you make better, I feel. On a personal level, these mini art books are my go-to whenever I'm starting to overthink my whole sketchbook process. It's like an encouragement for me that says, just, go with whatever you have on mind, it's yours. Don't worry. But even when I'm not doing any art, the amount of stuff present in these books is massive, and visually it's almost impossible to memorize everything. I feel I always find something new. So gloomy dark winter morning, mug of coffee and a dose of Audra's art, and I'm good to go. Next artist is someone whom I rediscovered actually not long ago. Her name is Jessica Cioffi, and she's known as Loputyn online. And yeah, this is actually how you pronounce her nickname, in case you have doubts. This art book, Aether, was a part of a Kickstarter campaign, and I probably have the video from the unboxing. If I do have it, I will include it in this video. I opted for the tier called Lore Keeper that include her first art book and the second one, the new one. They also added a tote bag, which, if I'm not mistaken, was exclusive for those based in Italy, 2 buttons, prints and bookmarks. Now, before I show you the content of it, I have a short story moment. A few years ago, I went to a local book fair. It's a sort of comic book fair organized by one of the major cities here. And Jessica was there. She had her own stand, and she was signing at the time her first art book, which I also have now. And it's called Loputyn, just by her nickname. She was also signing some comic books, but at the time I honestly didn't recall her. I didn't remember her, although later on I discovered that, yeah, I probably followed her somewhere in time in the past on DeviantArt. So I had no clue who she was. I approached her stand because obviously I was attracted by her style. And what happened was her probably editor told me almost immediately that Jessica wasn't going to sign anything for me because she was busy. And to be honest, that was really awkward. I didn't say anything, and I barely recalled the artist. And I'm pretty sure she didn't mean anything wrong. Maybe they were in the middle, of a stressful situation or something. Nevertheless, I remained a bit disappointed. And as a result, I didn't get anything, although I actually kept this art book in my hands. But I said, well, no, to be honest, maybe next time, So what I did, I actually returned home and I started following her on Instagram. And I discovered that what she was posting on Instagram back then was way better from this art book. And I know this sounds like a really harsh statement, but what I actually mean is that her style remained the same, yet her storytelling and the maturity of her content changed so much since then. And now that I have both art books, I see her entire body of work in a different way. I've done some research and I found out that she gets her inspiration from the Gothic Lolita style and overall the Victorian era, which is also obvious from her art. So her early artworks emulate that passion by presenting these characters wearing intricate Gothic Lolita clothing. The entire book feels dreamy, which is also amplified by the medium she uses. I believe it's mostly watercolor. So the reason, apart from my whole drama moment in front of her stand, is that I was looking for something else. In general, I'm kind of obsessed with storytelling, which I find super hard to master. And this art book back then was just a collection of pretty girls in pretty clothing, and only by the end of the book I started to notice a slow evolution to who she is now as an artist. So when she launched her Kickstarter campaign, which was I guess last year, I didn't hesitate, and I got the book. And immediately from the beginning, she invites us to her world by telling us a story. The concept of the wolf and the witch is, I believe, inspired a little bit by Wicca or in general witchcraft practices, and it represents a male element present in every female. In her art, she juxtaposes these two forces. Sometimes you might find them living in harmony, other times they fight with each other. The introduction to this art book gives a sense of order to what we are going to find inside as well. She divides her book into elements, so it's earth, water, air and fire, where Aether or Aether, which is probably the English pronunciation, is the fifth element that binds them together. This art book is filled with emotions. From a technical point of view, Jessica keeps her delicate style. She uses both digital and traditional media, and her color palette feels very well balanced and cohesive. To be honest, if I would ever release an art book, this is a sort of experience that I would like to offer to those who would support me. I'm not a big fan of art books with pretty pictures of pretty girls. I mean, they can serve its purpose, but I feel it's easy to forget what you saw if there isn't any story behind. Is this art book worth having? Well, obviously, if you appreciate this style, if you're attracted to more delicate motifs, this can be a really inspiring source material. Another thing you can find from Loputyn on your local bookshelves is actually Francis. And Francis is actually a comic book, and it's an interesting story about a witch who isn't a particularly reliable witch and even less reliable person, and she gets easily into trouble. On the very last night before a very important trial, when there seems to be no hope for her, fate gives her an unexpected encounter to turn the situation in her favor, or maybe not really. This comic book ends up in a very unexpected way, and I was actually surprised. It's a short story and I'm not going to spoil it for you, but I feel like it ends up in a way, it wasn't neither good or bad, it was just the way life is, you know. I know that this comic book is available in a few languages. I believe it's French, English, Portuguese, and maybe Spanish. I'm not sure about the last one. So keep your eyes peeled for Francis. It's really worth having it in your collection if you like the style of this artist. Now, I actually got an art book that I didn't include into this review, and it's The Hobbit by Alan Lee. And it's a collection of his sketches. This is the second part. The first one was The Lord of the Rings. I'm not a big fan of the Hobbit movie. Maybe the first part was kind of nice, but then we know how it went. However, this one, the concepts, the sketches are outstanding. However, I am not going to talk about this book in this video. I think it deserves a completely separate video. Probably I will make another review maybe somewhere during this year. The reason why I'm mentioning it is because my next book, which is Forgotten Gods by Yoann Lossel, is a total masterpiece, and actually Alan Lee made a whole preface to this book. So the art books I was talking before are a type of art that is not going to resonate with everyone, But I believe the majority of people will agree that Forgotten Gods by Yoann Lossel, and I do apologize for my wonky pronunciation, is something completely unique, a testimony of love towards the craft. Every single detail, every border of every illustration, even the internal part of the cover has been carefully designed by the author. Again, this art book was a part of a Kickstarter campaign, and my version is the most basic one. So if you're watching this video and if you have like a higher tier, I am jealous. We are invited on a journey full of legends, myths, and folklore, and personally, this was a demanding read to go through. The whole concept of taking care for who you are, for details in your life that inspires you, your connection with nature and your creativity. I learned how often we focus on the outcome, but we don't care about the whole process. We don't celebrate it enough. Yoann Lossel is an artist completely out of his century, like literally, and yet he stays humble about his person and his art. And it is not a sort of fake humility. I truly believe he didn't take the whole Kickstarter campaign for granted, although it's obvious it was going to be successful. Beautiful personality and beautiful art. Thank you very much for watching this video. Thank you for supporting my channel. Consider subscribing if you haven't yet, and I'll see you in my next video. Ciao!